It's kind of like getting into a fraternity. You know, there's certain things, in certain colleges, you're not getting on the SGA unless you're in a frat. And if you're in a frat, there's certain things that you're not allowed to do. There's certain things you're not allowed to say. And there's certain people you're not allowed to socialize with. Same thing with Freemasonry, except it's on a deeper level because it's still there to preserve the interests of white people on a certain social level. So you're not going to say certain things if you're a Freemason. And Jay-Z, if he is in that position, we already know that his hands are tied to a certain extent and his lips are sealed to a certain extent. I can give you that. You're not going to get all that power and that fame and you're just going to be talking about black power. However, Jay-Z, out of the artists with that same stature and standing, probably has made the most statements about black power, the most statements that were revolutionary, made the most connections to revolutionary artists, and done the most to support good charitable causes for revolutionary groups and for socially active groups than any artist out there. So if you're going to make the argument that Jay-Z is this terrible person that's involved with the secret conspiracy to destroy people of color, you got to provide some type of evidence based on what he's actually done and, beyond, his lyrics have inspired this type of cultural movement. Because if you're going to say that, then Soulja Boy's in the Illuminati, 50 Cent's in the Illuminati, Gucci Mane's in the Illuminati, Lil Wayne's in the Illuminati. And here's the worst part, there's people that are actually saying that type of shit nowadays. They're saying the Soulja Boy had a blood sacrifice, this person had a blood sacrifice. Come on now, if you're from the hood, everybody done had somebody close to them die. Static Major wasn't that close to Lil Wayne, so I don't know where that argument's coming from, but people be clutching at anything. That's the problem. People are clutching anything, put anything together, and then we'll believe it, not because it makes sense, but because we so desperately need something to believe. You can't make the argument that this stuff is really helping people. This stuff is not empowering people. You can't show this to a gang of teenagers and have them feeling like they really are about to take over the world now and they're empowered and they want to go study. They feel powerless. They feel defeated when you tell them that everybody in the whole world is in a conspiracy against them. And then you can't show them no freedom fighters that are successful. You can't show them nobody. Because look, if I get successful enough, let me correct myself. If we, as Supreme Design Publishing, get successful enough, what's going to happen? You're going to say that I'm down with them people. Which I think somebody actually said in the comments of that last video, that because I was critiquing this fanaticism about the Illuminati, I must have been down with them too. You see how crazy that sounds? It's just like saying that Jay-Z, when he named the record label Rockefeller, was down with them people then. Jay-Z was a dope boy then. The Illuminati is not recruiting dope boys. He named the label Rockefeller because he aspired to become like the Rockefellers. That's the way. You know how many people in the hood was calling themselves Scarface and Gotti and Rockefeller? See, a lot of this is coming from people that are completely out of touch. But that's another issue. Let's get back to the history of this whole thing. The Knights Templar were keeping a lot of secrets and doing a lot of dirt. But the reason why they really started getting persecuted was not because they started, creating a banking system and all that other stuff. Not because they were really creating a military presence over the Christian empire, but because they were doing business with the Muslims. And they were absorbing their culture and their beliefs. And not just any Muslims, but they were around some very well-informed, some very educated, and some possibly the secret societies of these Muslims and these Arabs or these Moors. And then what happened? That's when the persecution began. Because then the accusation came that they were worshiping some foreign god. Because the whole idea of banking that we have now came through the Knights Templar, but it came from the Muslim Empire. And that's another story also. But you would know this stuff if you actually did some research. Let's continue. The accusation came that they were worshiping some other god. And when they got interrogated about it, even at the threat of death, they would never admit to what it was that they were worshiping. Never. And they wouldn't say, yes, we worship the Christian God. It was accused, and it was said that they had to spit or insult an image of the Christian God somehow. and it was said that they had some kind of a dark god that they were praising and worshiping, and which they had picked up from these people that they were doing business with, that they had learned all this from, and then you put two and two together, and they associated with Islam. And so it wasn't just Islam, like invisible Allah in the sky. It was the black god of Islam that you've heard people like, Dr. Wesley Muhammad and other people, Godfrey Higgins and all them, talk about, where they talk about how the original god of Islam was really the black man. Well, the original god of every religion was the black man. Now, for those of you that are Christians, I can understand where you might be coming from with like this whole fanatic thing, with being against Freemasonry and being against the Illuminati. I understand that, because a lot of y'all believe, without any question, the whole Christian right philosophy about Freemasonry, Illuminati, and all that other stuff. Y'all believe that, just like the Christian right believes, that these are a threat to the Judeo-Christian God. Y'all think about 666 and the sign of the beast, and Revelations prophecies, and they're trying to usher in the Antichrist. You got people who would otherwise call themselves atheists or conscious people talking about an Antichrist. You realize how much you have to have jumped on the bandwagon without any question or any critical thing to be talking about an Antichrist, and you not waiting on the Christ? If you're not waiting on the Christ, why are you talking about an Antichrist? You have to be, you have to be a Christian to believe some of this stuff. And I can understand when you have these white Christian people that are talking about this stuff, because Freemasonry has always been a threat to the Christian church. Therefore, the Christian church designated the Knights Templar, Freemasons, and all these other secret societies as enemies. And one of the main reasons in the early days was because it was said that they were worshiping some other god, which they associated with the black god of Islam. And I'll get into that in a minute. And nowadays, those same organizations, Freemasons, and all those other groups, and not Illuminati, I don't know what to say about, Illuminati. Look at that, I almost crashed. But it's important, I gotta talk about this. Because Illuminati is a whole other category. We can get into that in another video, maybe. Because what we call the Illuminati, that's about social control. Another story. We'll get into that later. Maybe I'll get into that in the end. Anyway, these groups, even to this day, consider organized religion the worst thing that can happen to people. They're not fans of organized religion. These people are, to some extent, still preserving the original traditions that they picked up from, guess who? From us. See, the Freemasons and all those groups that preceded them and gave birth to them were taught by us. We initiated them into our so-called mysteries. We gave them most of the secrets, not all of them. And we entrusted them with preserving them. And you could make the argument that, they're using it to, destroy society. Maybe they're not. See, because at the end of the day, if you really understand what's going on, if you're really conscious, you know that they still answer to us. Now, if you have low self-esteem, and you can't possibly envision a group of people of color who have power over this group of white people, there's not really too much I can tell you to help you, because you come from that defeat.